Hello, Salem Chapel. Lori and I hope you had a great Christmas. We're so glad you're with us today, even though we're not meeting in person, whether you're watching this individually with your family, or maybe you're in a small group. We want to remind you that God can still move powerfully right where you are. You don't have to be in a building to receive what He wants to give to you today.
That's right. In fact, over the past few months, Johnny and I have had an opportunity to gather in 2 different group settings. And today we want to share something with you that's been really meaningful to us. It's all about reflecting on 2024 and preparing our hearts for 2025. We know this year has been tough for some of us, with hard challenges and unexpected difficulties. For others, it's been a season of breakthroughs and celebrations and incredible moments.
Yeah, and no matter where you're at, whether you've had a year filled with tears or joy or everything in between, it's all precious to Jesus. He's been with you through it all, and He's not going anywhere. So as we start this time, we're going to ask you to do some simple things to help you reflect on the year and what God is doing in your life. And these activities will guide us through a few movements today. And Lori and I want to encourage you to participate, whether you're doing this individually or with others in your home.
So let's jump into movement number 1. We'd love for you to write down 3 things you believe to be true about God. These might be truths you've seen played out in your life this year through circumstances. Maybe you've seen His faithfulness or His provision in ways you never expected. Or maybe these truths are ones that even though you're not feeling them right now, you know to be true. Write them down and reflect on God's character, because we know He is always who He says He is.
And if you're doing this with others, you can share those truths aloud. There's something powerful about speaking God's truth into our own hearts, but also into the hearts of those around us. And so if you're doing this independently, it's okay to just write them down quietly. The important thing is to let God speak to you as you reflect.
Now let's move on to movement number 2. If you're on your own, we encourage you to write down 3 things that God says you are. This could be things you've personally learned in 2024, or it could be truths about who God says you are that are a bit harder to believe right now. Maybe it's hard to believe that God calls you His child or that He sees you as precious, but you're choosing to write those truths anyway because you know they're from God.
And if you're doing this in a group or with your family, here's what we'd like you to do. Write down each person's name on a piece of paper. Then for each person, write down something that you admire, love, or appreciate about them. Maybe it's something you've noticed in them this year or something that has encouraged you about them. You know, Lori and I have done this with our family around our dinner table, just taking turns and writing something at each person's seat before we dig into our meal. It's such a simple, powerful way to speak life into each other.
And then once you've written down those things, whether you're doing this on your own or in a group, read them aloud. There is something special that happens when we hear God's truth spoken over us. We might be quick to speak negative words, but today we want to speak life and truth into our hearts and the hearts of others. It might feel awkward at first, but I promise God will use this to build faith.
So for movement 3, we want you to take a moment and write down one thing that you're asking God to do in 2025. This could be something big, a breakthrough, a change, or a dream. Or maybe you don't have a clear idea yet, and that's okay. You can simply write down, "Show me, Lord." Like if you're doing this with kids or with younger family members, they could even draw a picture of what they're asking God for.
And once you've written that down, we encourage you to take some time to pray over those things. We do this every year in our family, and it's a big deal to us. We keep our prayers and reflections, and we put them in a jar, and then pull them out this time of year and read what we wrote the previous year and rejoice over the ways God has answered, even when He answered things a little differently than we imagined. We also pray over the things we're still waiting on, knowing that even when we can't see it, God is working.
So we want to remind you of one thing today. God is who He says He is. He made you in His image, and He delights in you just as you are. You're not alone in 2024, and you won't be alone in 2025. His perfect love casts out fear, as it says in 1 John 4:18. We have nothing to fear. We can rest in His love, His plan, and His purposes for us in this coming year.
We're so excited to see what God will do in and through all of us in 2025. We're standing with you in faith, believing for breakthroughs, growth, and new opportunities. Thank you for being a part of our church family. We love you, Salem Chapel, and we're praying for each and every one of you.
Absolutely. Salem Chapel, God bless you. We love you all.